Hey, and welcome, Miss Kira Speaks. Thank you for clicking on this video. Please do your girl a favor and stick around to the end of the video if you can help me get that retention time up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. Sharing is caring. And turn on those notifications because you just never know. Whoo, child, let me take a deep cleansing breath, for life is life, and we are still nursing this shoulder back to health. And then my two younger ones, they're in here coughing, so now my chest is chesting. But I hope you guys are all staying well because something's going around, okay? Anywho, we are here for a quick recap of episodes 1 through 5 of The Other Black Girl, which premiered on Hulu, I believe, September 13th. You will also be able to find it on my September releases watch list. It's based on a novel by the same name by Zakiya D'Elia Harris. It's an Onyx Collective's production, and I believe one of the EPs on this one is Rashida Jones. Now, it's rated TVMA. It's 10 episodes. The episodes are about 30 minutes each, and Hulu dropped them all at the same doggone time. So let's see if we can get right into it. So we start this thing off in 1988 where we see a black woman. She's scratching her head on the subway. She's seeing visions, and then she screams. Fast forward to present day, we meet Nella Rogers. She's from Connecticut, and she is an editorial assistant at Wagner. Now, she is the only black girl there, and she has dreams of becoming the next Kendra Ray Phillips. Enter Hazel May McCall, the other black girl, and new assistant to Maisie. Now, Nella is ecstatic, and they bond over a variety of things like their love for Diana Gordon's book, which was edited by Kendra Ray Phillips. Nella fills Hazel in on everything, baby, and I mean everything, on down to Needles and Pens, which is a book by one of the authors there, Colin. Now, this problematic author is one of their top earners, go figure, and the book is about the opioid epidemic, and it features Chartricia, the only black character in the book, who is chock full of stereotypes. Now, Nella, she voices her frustration to her boss, Vera, but Vera, because of the money, she just wants her to keep the whole thing under wraps. Keep quiet, don't say anything, don't make any waves. But later, at a party for Colin, Hazel ends up calling Nella out. Now, she had planned to keep her boss's wishes, but she brings up that Chartricia is problematic and dangerous. Situation is hella uncomfortable, and she looks for Hazel to have her back, but alas, she does not. Instead, she leaves her hanging, and when Colin asks Hazel about the book, she says she likes it. Ooh, child, Hazel, I was not feeling her from the giddy up. Now, Vera is pissed. Hazel gets offered another opportunity, and that night when Nella goes to leave, she finds a note in her pocket. Leave Wagner now. We get a whole scary scene, and she runs to the elevator and she sees Kendra Ray's image. And that is where the first episode left off. Now, as we get into the second episode, we see Nella running through the hallways of Wagner like she's in a maze. Kendra's picture is talking to her, and then she runs back to the elevator and she wakes up because it was a nightmare. So the next morning, she's talking to her boyfriend Owen, who's WB. Now, we briefly met him in episode 1 when Nella was filling her homegirl Malika in, and him as well on the new girl Hazel. So she's telling him that she's going to get fired, and he's like, just go ahead and apologize, but she doesn't feel like she should. It's the principle of the situation after all. But what she doesn't tell him about is that letter she got the night before. Now, at work the next day, Hazel's bought in pastries. She's winning everybody over, and the Colin situation is still floating around thick in the office. Nella finally confronts Hazel, and Hazel's basically like, listen, it was my first day, so I didn't want to rock the boat. Nella asks Hazel if she's the one that sent the note. Hazel doesn't hear her, but they're interrupted because Vera pulls Nella into the office. Nella apologizes, but Vera wants her to apologize to Colin. Nella suggests a sensitivity trainer instead, but it's a no. It's an apology or else. At Malika's housewarming, Nella confides in Malika about the note she receives. She suspects it's Hazel. Girl, so do I. But Malika believes it's Colin. Nonetheless, Owen comes over and she blows up Nella's spot. The two of them are asking, like, why do you stand for this nonsense? But Nella's been there 2 years and she has aspirations of a promotion. Now, when she goes into the office that night, I was asking myself, girl, why? Like, why do we have to go to the office to do work in the middle of the night? She's working and it looks like someone is lurking. Now, she doesn't find anybody there, but she does go snooping around and not much turns up from that. The next morning, some reason she's full of life and paying Hazel dust. In their meeting, Nella runs the idea of re-releasing the book edited by Kendra Ray, Burning Heart. She wants Kendra involved with the foreword along with Diana, and she feels that this can appeal to a new audience. Vera tells her that Kendra is off the grid, but Nella, she's willing to look. Vera shows Nella some of these book covers for Colin's book and says that she needs to apologize to Colin. She needs her to know how important it is to the company. Nella, in turn, punches a cardboard cutout of Colin on her way out. She goes into the bathroom to take a breather, and here is Hazel, but she's not interested in hearing anything that Hazel has to say. Hazel says she's sorry for what she's done. How about throwing me under the bus? Nella asks her. So then Hazel and her get into a conversation where Hazel explains to her that her other black coworker didn't look out for her, and she claims that that's what she was trying to do for Nella with the whole Colin thing. Now, do we believe that for a minute? No, we don't. So she's saying maybe perhaps there's something else you can do, when she basically tells her that she was told, no, it's an apology or nothing else. Hazel says she has her back. Now, when Colin comes in the next day, here comes Vera, and they're coming past the desk looking for that apology from Nella. And at first, Nella, she don't get it. Vera makes a comment, and as they go to walk away, Nella thinks better of the situation, and she jumps up and she's like, about Chartricia? She has so many layers. I didn't see them in my first read. Child, she goes ahead and apologizes, and Colin agrees to the layers of Chartricia, and I was like, yuck. And he thanks her, and Vera is quite proud of Miss Nella. Now we can see that Nella is pissed off with herself for this, so she texts her homegirl Malika, and then we see her message this pro-black podcaster named Jesse. He's gonna come up later on in the episodes. So at a meeting, Vera suggests a sensitivity reading, Nella's idea. Now Hazel's looking at Nella, and Nella's looking at Hazel, and Hazel does do the right thing in this instance and stand up and say that that was Nella's idea. Vera's like, but she finally admits it and says that they're a team. Now, at the end of the episode, I was a little confused. Maybe this was also slipped into Nella's bag, but there was a note that appeared to be between Kendra and Diana. And in episode 3, they were giving us some throwback, flashback scenes of Kendra and Diana. None of them were really important to the story, in my opinion, until we got to the end of the episode. The next morning, Nella opens her apartment door to head out for work, and there's something on the ground. Hazel has swung by to drop off the reading that she was supposed to do for Vera. She had somehow forgot. Now, Hazel lives in Harlem, over an hour away. Owen, he doesn't seem to think it's a biggie, but Nella, she's a little suspect, as I would be too. She thanks her when she gets to work, and Hazel says no problem, she was at a wine bar in the area. Now, I don't know about that, but in the previous episode, we did see her lurking outside of Nella's building. And I was like, but it was lucky for her that she did, because Vera was looking for her to do the reading, which Nella got a chance to do on the subway on the way to work. Just in the nick of time for Vera to call her in the office, but not before Hazel gives Vera a couple of juicy tidbits about her boss, Maisie. Apparently, these two are rivals. Now that part was a deviation from the book, which I did get to check out on Audible right before the series aired. Hazel wants to crash this exclusive party and she wants Nella to join her, so she hatches a plan. And the plan works, but Nella's got nothing to wear, so in the bathroom, we got Hazel playing dress up with Nella. Now, Nella feels pretty guilty about what they did because, they kind of did a little double crossery when it comes to Maisie and Vera. The Hazel is carefree to the situation. We see a little blood on Hazel's hairline as they're getting ready to leave the bathroom. She dismisses Nella, and I'm sure, judging by the book, that we'll address this later. Now, Hazel successfully sneaks these two into this party and she encourages Nella to make waves. Reluctantly, Nella does. Hazel says that she doesn't want to be like Maisie and Vera, which again, I had the side eye for Hazel from day one. And in this instance, it looks like I was right and she set Nella up because as Nella's making waves, here comes the big boss, Richard, as she's saying she's an editor for Wagner. So these two go outside and have a conversation, and Nella, she's got to apologize. She again pitches that re-release of Burning Heart, and he fills her in on what really happened to Kendra Ray. According to Richard, she's no longer with us. So after Nella leaves, we see Richard get in the car and he calls somebody to ask for help. Now, at the end of episode 3, we see a younger Diana and Kendra, and Diana comes to visit Kendra at Wagner. Richard comes up and Diana manages to secure a meeting for them both. Now, at first, Kendra is a little annoyed, but then she seems grateful. Hopefully, we'll get to see how the rest of this plays out later in the season. Over in episode 4, Malika is not excited about all the changes that Hazel is making to her girl Nella. And she is the only one that is really paying attention and got her good eye on Hazel. So now as they're walking up the block, somebody suspicious bumps into Nella. Then at work, Nella invites Hazel over for dinner. Now they have a meeting about this sensitivity reading, and Vera, she doesn't truly want to be bothered. She kind of wants to sweep it under the rug. While they're in their meeting, Richard sends for Nella. Surprise, surprise. So she comes in his office and she gets to meet Diana Gordon, who is played by Garcelle Bouvet. Her mouth is open, baby. She's so excited to meet one of her heroes. He tells Nella that her next big project may just be at Wagner. So then we fast forward and we get to see a pitch meeting for Diana. The ideas are awful. She's not feeling any of them. And of course, at the end of the meeting, we have Nella getting up again and pitching the re-release of Burning Heart. Diana shoots it down. It's too many bad memories for her. Nella runs into Diana in the bathroom afterwards and she's apologetic, and Diana says, you did have the best idea. So she says, you have potential, you just need polish. And I want you guys to hold on to that one. Nella, she's got natural hair, like a little fro going on, and Hazel, not that it matters at this point, has locks. But the polish comment gave me pause, as it should for you. She invites Nella over to her place, and then we see Nella over there that evening drinking wine that she doesn't even know what it is, apologizing yet again. Diana is showing her photos, and Nella suggests that she do a memoir. Meanwhile, over at Nella's place, Owen is cooking and Malik is there because this is supposed to be the dinner that we invited Hazel to. Hazel arrives a minute early and Malika is not feeling her. She brings up what she did to Nella and the Diana meeting, but Hazel says she's not the jealous type and she wants it to rest in the past. Now, when Nella arrives, she's floating on cloud 9. She got a little buzz from her wine, and when she comes in, if you ask me, she gave Hazel a little more attention than Malika, and I was like, So Nella and Owen, they go out for more wine, and Malika lets Hazel have it. She can see straight through her. But Hazel wants her to move on. It's none of her business, so stay out of her way, basically. Now, when Nella gets back, Malika pulls her off to the side for a dose of reality, but Nella, she doesn't receive it. She asks her girl, Mal, to give Hazel a chance, and she ain't with it. So then it's you don't own me, and she dismisses Malika, and I said, no girl, not you sending Mal home. 36 hours later, Nella is apologizing, and Malika's like, that girl is just bad vibes. And she is spot on. So at a meeting with Diana, Nella asked to bring Hazel on to the project because she's the one who inspired her or encouraged her. Diana's surprised. I'm surprised. Hazel's surprised when she tells her. And then later that evening, she's back on that subway, headed to go see Malika, when the suspicious lady that bumped her earlier approaches her. Her name isn't Eva, it's Hazel. And then she kind of drops a note in her bag and scurries off. And that's where episode 4 ended for us. As episode 5 opens up, we see the suspicious lady keeping her good eye on Miss Nella. She's taking notes and the whole nine. Now, she's told Owen apparently, and he's concerned and doesn't want Nella to go to work. He wants her to stay home. But work is in total chaos. Colin's book has been leaked. Jesse Watson, pro-black podcaster Nella was messaging a few episodes back, says Wagner is canceled, and we get a bunch of social media headlines questioning if Wagner is racist. Now Vera, she suspects it was a sensitivity trainer that leaked it. Vera says that she should have listened to Nella. They want Wagner to drop the book, but as we know, Colin is a top earner, and now Vera is the one asking Nella for help. Hazel has called out of work, and Nella is left to do everything. I mean, butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. It's somebody's birthday. She's sending emails, just everything. They have an emergency meeting, and when they're in the meeting, Malika texts Nella. Nella steps out and gives her a call, and Malika lets her know that while she's out at lunch at the very same restaurant, Hazel is having lunch with Big Boss Richard. Vera comes and scooches Nella back on into the meeting, and she wants them to make a public apology, and Nella suggests that it should be Colin is the one to do the apologizing, because after all, he doesn't even know what he's apologizing for. He doesn't think that he did anything wrong, and she thinks, Nella that is, that they shouldn't release the book. Well, Vera tells her what she thinks, and that's that Nella shouldn't have a job. But then in works Richard and Hazel and says that Nella is not fired. And actually, she's going to be getting a promotion. Oh, and he is dropping Colin's book. And Vera's like, this morning you told me to save it. But he's had a change of heart, and he wants to start on this path to diversity, child. I said, okay. So then Richard turns and fires Vera, and she is not happy. He wants to pause on the memoir and go with that re-release of Burning Heart that Nella has been pushing for. Now, when we got to the part where the book was leaked, that's where we started to take a major deviation from what actually happened in the book, and I was kind of wondering where we were going to go in the series. They're celebrating change and Shannon's birthday, and then Colin comes in and he's in a huff and he is looking for Vera. He is really feeling himself. He's like, I paid for all of this. And Richard tells Colin, thank you for your services. You no longer work for Wagner. After work, Hazel congratulates Nella, and it turns out that she was the one who told Richard that Vera had buried that sensitivity reading. Now, somehow we get into, because when they were having Shannon's birthday, Hazel had lied and said this was the same cake that her grandparents had. And so she now has to admit to Nella that it was a lie, and that, you just have to be who people want you to be. So now, all of a sudden, now Nella's spidey senses start to tingling. Nella goes to meet this suspicious lady in some seedy location, and she goes in a room and sits and waits, and then we see somebody snatch this mystery lady up, and it looks like she never showed up. And that was episodes 1 through 5. As I did mention, I did go ahead and give the book a listen before the series started, and it was a little slow, so I'm glad that they made the appropriate changes that they made to get the story moving a little bit faster. But even with those changes, I'm feeling like the story is getting just a little bit boring, do I say? Now, I thought I might do the whole series as a live, and other people have done that, and I kind of thought better of it. Then I was going to give you these episodes 1 to 5 as a live, but then I'm like, but they dropped all 10 episodes, so who's going to want to watch, So I decided to do it this way. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in a week or so. Yes, I said a week or so for episodes 6 through 10. Leave your comments below, or just let me know that you stopped by, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.